Hey there, this is Domani Home Design, Designer Assistant Training, and we're going to be covering the topic of pricing. I have a whole big to-do about pricing, but I'll leave that for another training of some sort. This right now is just going to help orient you with the way that we structure our pricing for our new home plan services. So our home plan design services is based on the square footage pricing. Um, we take all of the conditioned space and multiply that square footage by the different pricing category that the project falls under. So there's about 4 different pricing categories. One is just a standard home, nothing's, really too technical about it, whether it's a slab on grade or it has a basement, crawl space, 2-story, 1-story, none of that really matters. If it's just a basic home design, it falls into that pricing category. Then if they need to have a daylight or a walkout basement, then that is an additional pricing category. So they'll bump into a little bit higher price point because being able to calculate the slope of the ground and a stepped foundation requires a little bit more work. So to accommodate for those extra hours that we're spending, we charge a little bit higher square footage pricing. And along that same line, if I've had some clients who they don't necessarily need or the site doesn't require or mandate that it would have a daylight or a walkout basement, but the clients just want to excavate out extra dirt out from underneath, like their garage or whatever. So they want to have a suspended slab just for those extra hours of calculation and design time that goes above and beyond the standard. They're in that same price point as the project that would have a walkout or a daylight basement, a stepped foundation. So there's the first one, that's the basic. These two are at the same price point. And then there's one that's at an even higher price point. And that is the project that needs to have a walkout basement, and they also want suspended slab. It's usually people who are on a really steep slope and they have a ton of drop in their elevation from high to low. So rather than filling up the area that's got the void, that they need to have dirt under for their, garage floor or whatever, instead of spending the money on the dirt and the gravel and whatever fill they need for that, they are choosing instead to pay for a precast suspended slab in that area. So that requires a little bit more effort. There's a couple different ways to do that. Plus the stepped foundation aspect of it all puts us into extra hours. So that's why that one is at the highest price point per square footage. Most of our projects usually are in the range of, they take about 40 to 50 hours from extraction and iterations and doing the back end work on the floor plans and then the quality control at the end. It usually takes us about 40 to 50 hours. I would like to see that number drop a little bit, but I don't want to sacrifice the quality that we put into our finished product. And this is typically for homes that are in the 4,000 to 7,000 square foot range. Homes that are smaller can usually go a little bit faster, obviously. And the clients usually, if they're building a home smaller than 4,000 square feet, they're usually not quite as particular. It's usually a starter home for them, so they don't have a lot of high expectations or habits that they've fallen into in their current living situation where they need to, design very specific things. People, projects in over 7,000 square foot, they usually fall into a little bit more of a needy category, and that sounds worse than it really is. They just have a lot more specifics. They've been around the block a couple of times. They've lived in a couple of homes. This might be their forever home, so they're super stressed about getting everything just right and everything exactly perfect. So there's a lot more back and forth. And so the people who are over the 7,000 square foot range, I would probably try to assess that as early on as I can, and they most likely will fall into an hourly project pricing instead, just because that gives them the flexibility to have as many Zoom meetings, design meetings with the designer one-on-one to design specifics to what they're looking for, and to have as many changes and edits as they want. I've had several clients who have worked with me for several years at a time to design their house just right. Some have switched properties in the middle of the design process. Some have had really, really crazy, tricky lots that we needed to build, take into special consideration different design aspects to accommodate their unique building lot. And then with that pricing, we like to pay based on performance. And how we will manage that is by establishing some Google rating expectations and some customer service feedback surveys. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but the main goal and the thing that has worked so far, unintentionally and quite accidentally, is to build a super loyal fan base, to have raving clients who are so happy to refer Del Monte Home Design to their friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, whatever. So we always under promise, over deliver. We set really clear expectations wherever we can, as often as we can. We respond to client communications within a 24-hour period, hopefully, except for some extenuating circumstances like, we're out of the office, or we're sick, or it's a holiday, or whatever, thing like that. But we always try to be very responsive, and we try to communicate and respond in the same form that we received the communication. So if somebody texts us, we'll send a quick text back. If somebody emailed us, we'll reply to the email with an email. And then we like to create really clear, concise, and highly accurate construction documents that are easy to read, easy to disseminate the information. And so we're constantly looking at and tweaking the output of our floor plans to make them more visually appealing and more visually, what's the right word? Like the information can be extracted more quickly in a visual standpoint. So I'm always looking for feedback from other professionals, from within the team itself, and from other builders and subcontractors to give us feedback on things that they see, because sometimes the plans print out different than how they look on the computer. So what do they see in the field? What do they see from the printed set of plans? Give us feedback and let us know what is making something difficult for them to get the information from the plans. And then we always we talked about this in another training, but tell the clients what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, so that they are getting the most expert service that they can get from the professional that they're paying for. Hopefully they are finding value for the money that they're spending. And so we want to make sure that we provide as much value and have really understood the project at a really deep level, so that we are keeping them on track, even when they tend to go astray, that we can pull them back, even if at the moment it seems like that's not what they want to hear. So that is our pricing in a nutshell, and we will talk to you at the next one.